Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 3, Episode 9, titled How
a Resurrection Really Feels, aired December 7th, 2005. And the synopsis is...
You do the synopsis.
Okay. Lucas reveals that he knows who tried to kill Dan in the dealership fire. Brooke, Peyton, and Haley find themselves behind bars. Chris Keller convinces Nathan to be his wingman at a high-stakes poker game. And the residents of Tree Hill finally choose a mayor. So we start off with Peyton visiting her mother's grave. And she's putting down a flower. And then when she stands back up, the version of herself as the angel of death is standing behind her and says she better make room, as in like Ellie would be there soon.
Is it weird that what is it? Angel of death, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Is it weird that it's Peyton in her Halloween costume, basically?
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that was weird. I'm like, that's...
Yeah, I think they just did that to show the audience like who she is, but maybe they could have like, as the episode went on, maybe changed the outfit to like something more like scary, like what you'd think a real angel of death would be if that was a real thing, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking more of that, of like her being like very dark and stuff, but not her being in that costume. I'm like, what? Like we just saw it a couple episodes ago, and then here it is, and she's supposed to be like the devil, but it's like Peyton in that outfit wasn't the devil. So it's just kind of weird. Like you would think that they would be better at it by dressing her as, you know, the dark devil kind of thing instead of just her costume that she had.
Yeah, or like the Grim Reaper. Or like maybe they just didn't want to pay money for like another costume or something, or didn't have time or something. Who knows?
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. It kind of threw me off because I'm like, what? Like it didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't care for the whole Peyton talking to herself. Did you?
I mean,
you liked it, didn't you?
There was the one moment when she was the angel was annoying me, but
well, and it just seemed like it was the whole episode, like Peyton's whole story. Like it just was kind of like once maybe, but not more than once. That was just too many.
Yeah. Like Hillary said in their podcast, they had to keep going back and forth with the characters, so she had to keep changing and going back to Peyton and everything. So I can see how that would be annoying too.
Well, so I don't know. Why didn't they just do all Peyton scenes and then switch it to all her little angel of death? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depended on what they were already filming that day. Like they had things scheduled in a certain way. They just couldn't do it all in one day, or else it would just probably be Hillary all day and nobody else. So maybe that's why too. So,
well, great for the rest of the cast. They get the day off.
And then this is kind of like the dreams before, because Payne is waking up by a knock on her door.
I will say though, Cynthia, wouldn't it be nice to be like I know actors always talk about, oh, you know, it's so rough and stuff, you know, being on set all day. But wouldn't it be nice to just roll in like, oh, your call time is 10 o'clock or you know, while some others are there at 5 a.m. But today yours is at 10. So, you know, and then or tomorrow you're not scheduled. So because our work schedule is not like that. It's you come in 8 o'clock every day. There is no luxury of coming in when you know, at different times. So I just feel like that would be nice. I'm just saying, like they always complain about it, but it's like work in a regular environment and you probably won't like that either.
Right. And then we segue to a knock on the apartment door where Haley answers it, and it turns out to be the police and the manager of Suburban Filth. And she tells...
So she's only getting arrested because she's wearing it.
Yeah, so she's suspected to be taking the shirts, but
the lady who was there only witnessed Brooke and Peyton.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, I don't know. Just like maybe like
I mean,
a
Haley
accessory to it.
could have found it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people do go through the trash and pull things out
Mm-hmm.
and keep them. So I'm like, what? Like, it could have been that simple, but I'm like, she wasn't the one behind it. It was Brooke and Peyton. I'm like, why is she getting arrested?
Well, they call it for possession of stolen property. So
But she didn't steal it.
yeah, it's like if someone steals a car and then sells it to somebody without them knowing, then that person who ever bought the car would still get in trouble. Kind of like that situation.
It was just kind of weird. I was like, but the lady who was yapping at the door, she knew Haley wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, I think she just wanted to be more bitter.
Well, she was, but I'm just saying, it just was kind of weird because I'm like, she's getting arrested for what? She didn't even know about it. And then, I mean, maybe she thought Brooke had paid for it. She don't know. Like, you can play dumb. And so I thought that was weird. And, yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of like, whatever. That's how you're getting arrested.
And then we cut to Brooke, Haley, and Peyton in jail with orange jumpsuits to match.
Why?
Yeah, all but Haley.
I feel like if you're like, I've never been to jail, but I feel like if you're sitting in jail, you're not wearing a jumpsuit.
Right.
I mean, we had last season, we had the Lucas and Nathan in jail. They were wearing their regular clothes.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Makes no
why
sense.
are the girls in a jumpsuit?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm like,
what the call was that for?
I'm like, is it to be like Jurassic? Like, oh, look at them.
Maybe.
Like, it's the girls, but I'm like, they would technically be wearing their clothes. And yes, I get Haley was wearing the stolen property, but they could have just told her to go change. And then she would wear that in jail. She wouldn't.
Maybe, yeah.
All three of them wouldn't be wearing a jumpsuit. That's what I thought was weird.
Yeah. So Haley is rightly mad for being there with other two, just for wearing that stupid tank top. And then Brooke tries to blame it on Haley and says she should have done her laundry. And Haley says she got arrested.
Yeah, but she trusts her roommate. Like, I would trust you that you're giving me something that, you didn't steal.
Yeah, so Haley's upset that this is gonna go on her permanent record.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie.
Transcript.
I would be Haley in this situation.
Yeah.
Which one would you be? Brooke, Peyton, or Haley?
No, Haley, yeah.
I'd be freaking out. And everyone that knows me knows I'd be the one that freaks out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die here.
And then Haley, like she usually does, is about to throw hands at Brooke until Peyton pulls her to the side. But then there's a woman already there, so she kind of scares them off, so they have to go to the other side.
Yeah, that was actually funny.
And then and
I do like that now Haley and Peyton are having more scenes together, because remember Peyton was on the I hate Haley train, as she should have been, because I've said that. But it's nice now that it's like, Peyton, you're getting over it, you're moving past it, and now we can see them be friends, because we're going now back to season 1, Peyton and Haley. Because remember, they didn't have too much in season 2, but now we're getting back to it, and I like it.
Yeah, me too. And then Peyton's trying to explain the situation to Haley, and now all they have to do is give the money back for the clothes so they can be free.
What did you think though when they were like, well, we just got a call, like our parents, and then Brooke was like, mine are in California, and then Haley goes, mine are in an RV somewhere, and Peyton goes, mine is out to sea or dead or vanished. I'm like,
yeah,
but Haley, she must not keep in touch with these parents of hers. How do you not know where they are?
Right, I don't know.
Like, don't you think that if your mom was traveling, she would tell you where she's at? It's just weird. I'm like, you don't have to talk to your parents every day, but you would know where they're at. I mean, yes, they're in an RV, but you would, I don't know. I just have this relationship with my parents, so I would know exactly where they're at. And that's what's weird is Haley, they always act like Haley has that relationship, that bond with her parents.
Yeah.
Remember, even when her mom comes back and was it season 7, like they act like she's had this close bond with her. And I'm like, but where are they? They're AWOL.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
here, she's proving here, she doesn't even know where they're at.
Mhm.
How close can you be if you don't even know where your parents are? It would have been one thing if she said they're in an RV and wherever. But
Right.
just to be like somewhere, it's like, what? You should know. It to me, it was bad writing and bad storytelling, especially given the future.
Mhm.
It's like they forgot this part.
Yeah.
I feel like in season 7, they forget what happens in high school. As
Mhm.
in the parents were nowhere to be found.
Yeah, they didn't go to Nathan and Haley's second wedding, so.
Or graduation.
Mhm. Or
The
when she
birth
had when she
Jamie.
had Jamie. Mhm.
Yeah. I'm like, these are great parents.
Yeah.
I could see Brooks not being there because, I mean, we've never seen
were.
them. So
Mm.
we didn't see her mom until season 5. So that makes sense. But to not see Haley's, who supposedly are so close with their daughter. And I'm sorry, but she should call her parents because, okay, and even if your parents are AWOL, they have a cell phone, right?
Mhm. They should, yeah.
You should be able to call them to be like, I'm in jail.
Mhm.
I'm just saying it's not good writing, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Mhm. So then Haley tries to call the payphone, or not the payphone. She uses the payphone to call Nathan.
I have an issue
And-
with this.
Why?
So when she calls Nathan,
Mhm.
it goes to the scene of
Oh.
Nathan.
Mhm.
And he's on the phone with, it goes to Chris.
Mhm.
Because you're thinking he's talking to Haley, but he's really talking to Chris. And I'm like, but in this, I don't like this because you would look at your phone that you have another call coming in. And we didn't see any of that. We didn't see that another phone, or, that he was getting another phone call when he was on the phone with Chris.
Mhm.
There was no indication following that she tried to call him. Like, we saw
Right.
her say Nathan, but then when we cut to it, we don't see that she was calling him.
Mhm.
I just feel like that's bad writing if that's your next scene.
Right.
If your next scene, if she's picking up the phone and then the next scene is Nathan on the
Mhm.
phone, you need to show that there was a weird phone call from the jail.
Right.
All he had to do was take the phone off of his face, see that there was an incoming call, and still talk to Chris. As in, I don't know that number, so I'm not going to answer it because that's what we do.
Mhm.
So I just didn't like that. It just, to me, watching it didn't seem like she really called him.
Right.
In my opinion.
Mhm.
Did it seem like it for you?
No. No, it didn't. But then he was already at the studio while he was on this phone call. So then he's like in the recording studio part of it, not like on the outside where the sound booth or mixer usually is.
Why?
So
Wow, why is he in there? He's not
Yeah.
the singer.
It should be the other way around, if anything. But
Well,
yeah,
especially
apparently
if he's going there to meet to get what was he even there for? I forgot.
just to talk to Chris about, the money. Well, he doesn't really know why he's there. Chris does, because it's about the money he lost. But
Oh, Chris just said, "Meet me here."
yeah, maybe he says to give him the money or Healy's masters or something. I don't know. But yeah, so he knocks on the glass window, and he just figured it'd be better if he told him on the phone and to relax because he's coming in. And then he says that he had the money that Nathan gave him, but then he lost it playing poker. And then Nathan tells Chris to forget jail and call the morgue because he's gonna kill him because he gave Chris $2,000. And then Chris says that he can get it back. He just needs a ride. It's 80 miles away. And yeah, so it's just without the money, the studio won't release Healy's masters. So Chris tells Nathan again. He gives him a ride and they'll get the money back. He promises. So then Nathan tells him that, just don't speak for the whole ride there. You know, Chris is all hyped for the road trip now and puts his hand up for a high five, but of course Nathan ignores him as they walk out.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I thought it was funny because he's all like, "Sweet road trip."
mhm,
Nathan's like, "No, stop
yeah.
it." It was funny.
And then back at the jail, Haley's on the phone saying Brooke keeps some extra cash under her bed.
This
And
was this was good because it was a segue for Brooke at least thing. But I don't know
Mhm,
how she didn't hear that the phone call was to Lucas. I'm like,
right.
she's right there. Like
Mhm.
Haley's right there, and yet she doesn't even know that she couldn't get a hold of Nathan and she had to call Lucas.
Yeah, because
Also you're allowed to make more than one phone call.
I guess because it's in their cell, so I think that's the only reason why they could.
But then
Um,
shouldn't Peyton have been like the next one to try to call as in like Lucas because Haley shouldn't have had more than one phone call? I thought it's always you get one phone call. Isn't that what they always say?
yeah, I guess nobody was watching them to see that they were breaking the rule of that. But yeah, Brooke should have known because Haley would have had to hang up the phone the first time and then pick it
Yeah.
up again. So then Brooke should have been like, "Who else are you calling?" So yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Like I know you're not calling your parents.
Hmm.
So really? And Lucas and I know Lucas can legally get them out.
I don't know. I don't think so. Even if he had the money, I don't think that would be
Because
right.
he's
I don't know.
underage.
Hmm.
Like I could see Nathan because he's emancipated. But Lucas? It just I wouldn't think that a 17-year-old could get two or three 17-year-olds out of jail,
Hmm.
even if he had the money. I feel like he would need an adult to do it for him.
Right.
So that to me was weird that Lucas could just do it like that so easily.
Hmm.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah. Let me see. So, it's well, that's AI. I don't trust AI, but it says, in most jurisdictions, a minor cannot bail out another minor from jail, as juveniles generally do not have the legal standing to post bail and are usually released into the custody of their parents or guardians instead of being granted bail themselves. So, and I put in 2005 too, just to see if things are different back then. So it says it for that year. So,
Yeah. See, so legally,
mm-hmm.
he could not bail them out. He would probably have, I mean, could Karen do it? Because it said that they'd have to go to the parents.
Maybe, I don't know, because she's not their guardian, but then again, realistically, Haley and Brooke shouldn't be living in that apartment by themselves anyways. So I don't know. It's really complicated.
Well, I guess legally, because Haley's technically married still.
Oh yeah,
I
I
guess
guess.
she's considered an adult, even though she's not. So I guess maybe Karen could get Haley out because she's technically, married or something. But
Yeah.
um, but Brooke and Peyton would be screwed
Mhm.
realistically because their parents are AWOL.
Yeah.
Unless Brooke's parents gave Karen permission. Like,
Hmm.
remember in season 2 when she was living with Karen?
Yeah.
I think her parents gave her um like guardianship for those couple months
Yeah.
until the school year was over. And I would think that she would have to do that again for reasons like this or the hospital, anything. I would think that Brooke's parents would have to give Karen custody or
Hmm.
permission to do this kind of stuff.
Right.
So, but again, Peyton then. So if that's the case that if Brooke's parents did that, behind scenes, then Peyton would still be the one that gets screwed
Yeah.
because Peyton's dad isn't doing that. He's not giving partial custody or guardianship up. So
Mm-mm.
she would definitely be there by herself.
Right. Yeah. So now that Brooke knows that Lucas is coming, she's freaking out because she has her box under there of her letters that she wrote him. But it's not like he's gonna read all of them. He might read one if he was being nosy like that, and in her business. But I don't know.
Well,
And
I liked when Peyton said, because she was like, well, because Peyton goes, it could be the best thing for you. And I'm like, thank God. And I love how Peyton's laying down at this point. Like, would you be laying down?
No.
Me either. It's dirty.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I just think it's funny. She's just calmly laying there, like, it could be the best thing for you. And I'm just like, yeah. Because everyone at this point is tired of hearing about these letters.
Right.
Like, just tell this person or forget about it. But let's stop hearing about it.
Yeah. And then at Dan's house, he's watching security footage from a store and guesses this is the person that tried to kill him. So how did he even know that the person that supposedly killed him was in the store at this time? Well, I mean, it was before the fire, but yeah, at this store particularly. Did he like try to look to see if they were going to buy the liquor right before the fire? What if they bought it like a day before the fire?
Right.
Like,
or a week.
Yeah. So he shouldn't have been able to narrow it down like that. But
well, because I feel like if you're planning this, like something bad, you're not going to go and get the things the day before. If you've planned this out, you're going to do it a couple weeks. So you have it ready to go. You know what you're doing. You know how to use everything. So, yeah, I wouldn't think you would do it a couple hours before, the day before. Yeah, I don't think that's smart especially if you're planning this. Like, obviously, if it's a spur of the moment thing, okay, that's one thing. But I don't think this was a spur of the moment. I think she had planned this out.
Yeah, and then even if you did go to a store, you would try to like hide your identity so you can't be recognized in footage like this. So,
but also, who in the heck does he think this is on the camera? Doesn't he think it's Keith?
Yeah,
or Andy?
Well, I mean, he thought it was Keith, but yeah, it could be either one. But
because remember, he's like, oh, it's somebody Karen cares about.
Yeah, well, I thought it was Keith anyways, because that's how we know later on what happens to him. But because like it's not like he tried to find Andy and go kill him.
Well, and when Keith does come back, doesn't he get him arrested for trying to kill him?
I don't remember.
I feel like it's coming up where like Keith gets arrested because Dan says he tried to kill him, and I think that's his proof is this video. But how is that even proof? Like, that's not. Did he do? You should have camera footage of your dealership.
Maybe it burned in the fire.
But wouldn't he on his camera, like, because I would think that whatever company he got his security system from, I would think. Andy? Well, I would think that company could look it up of the video and show you too. And show you of this is the video, and then it burned. Because I could see it burning, but it would still have the footage somewhere with the company. And so, so I would just think that Dan would have that. So why he has video footage of this doesn't make any sense.
And then back at the jail, all but Brooke is released. The officer stops her and says, "Not you, Martha Stewart." I don't know what. Oh wait, no, I do. Never mind. Do you know what that means?
That she was arrested?
Yeah, Martha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just got that tone now when I was saying it, but she tells Brooke the kid with the cash only paid for the other two, so she locks Brooke back into the cell.
That was funny because, she's just slamming on her. No, and she's having a good old time. Right. Smiling at Brooke and everything. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, so Haley and Peyton walk outside, and Haley asks Lucas if he didn't pay for Brooke, and Lucas says he did. He just had them wait.
Her 10 minutes.
Yeah, so Lucas tells Peyton that he's not screwing with her. Because, like screwing with him because, with the non-exclusive dating, the costume for the party, the boy draft, misunderstanding, he's done everything she's asked him to do since she got back. And what did he get? Front row seat to her and Keller in bed together.
That's I do agree with him.
I mean, she didn't plan for them to get caught, but yeah, the other part that he said, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't plan for it, but at the same time, all he wanted was just to get back together and try this.
Yeah.
Again, but she is still playing games. And that's the point, is like, he's done playing these games now, especially because where did it lead them? It led her in bed with Chris. That's what it did. It didn't lead those two in bed together, which is where they probably thought it would. But it didn't. And I'm sorry, but the mistakes she has made up until then, I mean, why would you pick Chris at the fantasy thing? I mean, seriously, of all people to pick. You're gonna pick Chris and then to go on a date with him and not shoo him out, and just all the things she was doing was no. I mean, who would do that? Nobody. Not if you really like this other person. You wouldn't do it. And that's why I don't think they're right for each other, because if you truly care for somebody, you're not going to be playing these games and trying to be with somebody else to make them jealous in that way. Like, we all know everyone hates Chris.
Right.
It's not like it's some other person in town that you're trying to make jealous. Like, make the person you like jealous. It's somebody who every single person hates.
Right.
That's the difference, and why she would go for him versus somebody else too. And I think that's the thing of like Lucas is like, she picked Chris. Like, she slept with him instead of me. Like, how does that even happen?
Right.
So, and again, if you want to celebrate, wouldn't you have waited? Because Lucas was coming to see you that night. Wouldn't you have waited to celebrate with him, or wait till Haley came home and there were other things.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Doing what she did. That's why I don't feel bad for her in this scenario, because I'm on Lucas's side of I've played her game. Yeah. And it got me nowhere besides grief.
Yeah, and being yelled at by her in the parking lot.
It was always on her terms. Always.
Even, just like with Felix.
Even in season 1, the whole relationship was based on her. It was always on her terms. It was never what Lucas wanted.
Or Peyton, yeah.
And so that's why for this, it's like it's still continuing that Brooke is in charge, but look what happened. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is she didn't just sleep with some random guy trying to make Lucas jealous, that we would be like, okay, like, we get it. It was literally somebody that you would never imagine her sleeping with. Because everyone hates them. Yeah. And so that's what's weird to me. It's not like when, making like Felix or Lucas jealous in that thing. Right. It was literally Chris Keller. So that's the difference, I think. And so that's why Lucas, and I'm honestly surprised Lucas even bailed her out. Yeah. Would you bail the person out that kind of somewhat cheated on you?
No, I mean, he did use her money, so it would still be wrong that way too, even if she didn't, do anything to him. But yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I'm like, okay. But I do side with Lucas on this. Who do you side with?
Yeah, Lucas. And then Haley tells Lucas, he has a right to be upset, but he should at least wait for her to come out so they can talk. And she says that she can't wait for her because she has to go to the studio, but Payne says that she'll wait for her. And then Payne asks Lucas, what is she supposed to tell Brooke? And he says to have her call Chris Keller. And then that's when
that was good. That was good. And yes, this episode was like, again, every scene having a segue into something, whether it was somebody's name or a phone call or whatever it was like, it just moved like that.
And then, we segue to Chris in the car with Nathan. He says he needs some music. And for some reason, Nathan did not take this tape out of the player. It's because it wasn't stuck. As far as we know, it wasn't stuck in there because Chris was able to push it in there. So Nathan, if you think you would hate a song, you would just take the tape out and throw it away, or do something else with it and not keep it in there for a year. I think since him and Lucas were in that car driving somewhere.
Season 2.
Yeah, basketball game, I think it was. So yeah. But anyways, still months, and yeah, it's still right there for anybody to play.
I know, because that was season 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm like, really? This is still in here? I have another thing.
Hmm.
Nathan moved back home.
Right.
With Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't he driving a nice car?
Probably because he doesn't want to take any of his money or cars from him.
Because I just find it odd that he's driving this car when he lives with Dan Scott, who has all the nice cars.
Mm-hmm.
And he has plenty to choose from.
Yeah. I think too, because wasn't that the car that he put together with Keith?
Yeah.
So I think it's like more of like his own, like, I'm the one that helped to make this car run again, so it should be my car and I should drive it kind of thing, maybe.
But also, it was a bad memory of Haley.
Why?
Because their marriage was rocky to begin with. And then he has this, he gets this car, and then look what happened in their marriage. I mean, I'm just saying that it was, around that same time. So I would think that would be a bad memory. That's why, some people may get rid of a car because of a bad breakup, because it's like, but that's why I'm just like, okay, again, especially if you're going somewhere far away, it's like, use Dan's car. Well, couldn't he use like Deb's car? Like, it's his mom, not his dad.
Right. Yeah, so Chris doesn't see what the big deal is because he doesn't think that there should be a road trip without some road tunes. So Nathan stops the car and tells him it's not a road trip, it's a business trip to fix his screw up. They get the money to get Haley's song, and if he's lucky, he won't rearrange his face. So Nathan had turned off the song, so Chris now turns it back on. And then
I loved this whole scene with Chris and Nathan. I'm gonna be honest, I loved this whole episode with Chris and Nathan. Like, all of their scenes were so funny. I love this pair. Obviously for Nathan, it's like, it's not funny, but just like these two, like Nathan not thinking that this is all funny, but Chris does. It's just their banter. It's good. Well, I mean, there are some people that just don't work together, but these two are so funny. You can't help but laugh at the whole scene.
Right. Yeah, I think this is a part where the start of Chris's redemption too.
Yes.
What he does at the end to get, her masters. So
well, I think the whole redemption may have started before that, though.
Yeah, when he was helping Haley in the first place.
Helping her, yeah. And he wasn't helping her to get back with her because he knows that'll never happen.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. I love how he comes in season 3, right? He comes back and, everyone's like, oh my God, we hate Chris. But it's like he comes back, gets these two together, but then breaks up the other couple.
Yeah.
Well, then again, they weren't really a couple, but in their minds they were.
Yeah.
I just think I'm like, he just comes back and solves one problem and screws up another.
Yeah. I just liked what he did in this episode at the end because it was like his own idea that didn't hurt anybody else in the process, So it was like a good choice. That was like a pure good choice.
I thought, for once he was doing the right thing after messing up 10 times and Nathan calling him out every time for it. And that he truly cares and not in a crush kind of, like, he just truly cares and he just wants to do the right thing in the end.
Yeah. So then Chris finally tells Nathan how, like, how's your poker game? And Nathan asks why.
I love when he keeps blaming on the breaks. It's just so funny.
Yeah. Because now Chris decides to tell him, why they're really going over there to get the money back by playing the poker games. And every time, Chris says something that Nathan doesn't like or that, is wrong for him to say, he slams the brakes.
Yeah. Every time he was doing it, it was just cracking me up. And then, he starts driving again. And then he was like, what was it? Oh, because he was talking about having like money.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, "What?" And then he slams on the brakes again because he's like, "Oh, this is the money that your dad paid me to seduce Haley."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, again, slam on the brakes. It was just so funny.
Yeah, because he made it sound like he didn't have any money on him, not 500. And I thought it was funny too when he hit the brakes the first time, and Chris hit his head flew back, and the cassette tape flew out too, and he thought that he fixed the radio from that.
I fixed it.
Head. Yeah,
you fixed nothing.
Mm-hmm. So then the next scene with the video mouth recorded of Dan assaulting Nathan in the locker room is on the TV with a campaign message saying Dan Scott would have you believe that he's the family first candidate for Tree Hill Mayor. It's a good thing his son can't vote. Karen Rowe is a smart and caring choice. So then that's when Karen walks into the room because Dan was watching that. Do you know where they are? Like the hall, I guess, building? I don't even know.
I want to say it's like the town hall kind of thing of like where the mayor would work.
Yeah, right. That's the name. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, because at first you think that Dan was watching this at his house, but no, it was there.
Well, especially when Karen walked, like you see Karen, you're like, she would not be at Dan's house.
Yeah. But then Dan sees this commercial as a good thing. It gave him more voters for him. And then, Karen says he's in trouble and he knows it. That's why he's like acting like that. But he says he wouldn't be so sure. Because he says the polls are open and when they give their final speeches, she's going to concede. And she asks of what, and he says, or what, and he says that, or he's going to show the public who tried to kill him. So this isn't like blackmailing her precisely. It's like just kind of hurting someone that she cares about to make her drop out of the race, which you think wouldn't happen. You think that he would try to blackmail her more than anything, but yeah. And then he shows Karen the tape, and the audience, we still don't see the tape, so we have no clue.
Yeah, it's like we see, and then I love when it does go on the tape, but he shuts it off right away. Because we're not supposed to know who. It's just somebody she cares about, which again could be Andy, could be Keith. We don't know, but I mean, we do know. But that's why. Are we supposed to at this point believe it's Andy?
I don't know.
He is mentioned in this episode.
I mean, isn't he still in Australia though? So
yeah, but he could have not left at that point.
Yeah, maybe. And then Dan points out that booze that was bought was the same used to poison him. But that's the only thing he has, to go off of. And he tells Karen that when she concedes today to make sure she says nice things about him. And then next we see Brooke run into her room to see if her letters are still there, unread in the box under her bed. And
she's all happy that they are. It's really annoying. It's like, just give it a rest.
Yeah. And then we see Lucas erase Brooke's contact from his phone.
What? I know. I was like, what? Just erasing her as if she was nothing. But then again, segue to Brooke at the door.
Yep.
And she just walks in. Again, everyone just walks in. Plus, do you really think the person that you hurt wants you to just walk in their bedroom?
Right.
I mean, if you were in a fight with somebody or you messed up, would you really just walk in their house, or would you knock on their door and then they can determine if they want you in? I just thought that was rude. Like, first, everyone just barges in his bedroom, not even his house, his bedroom.
Like Peyton.
Yeah, but then this is extra invasive because he doesn't want anything to do with you. And he's proven that by hanging out with Rachel. And yet here we are, you're just barging in his bedroom. Like, what? I just didn't like that. She could have just easily knocked at the door and he opened the door.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Rachel for a minute. She just kind of disappeared here, I guess, so they can get back together without her interrupting. But yeah, so she starts explaining she doesn't know what to say other than she's sorry. And Lucas says she has nothing to apologize for. They weren't together. He just didn't know that the non-exclusive meant she was going to sleep with Chris. And then he tells her it was a pretty skanky move. So he's really mad. And this seems like, something that season 1 Nathan would say. And then she says that she is sorry for that she did that and that he had to see it.
Well, then she said, "You're looking at me right now as if you didn't do anything worse."
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he goes, "I didn't sleep with Peyton." But then then I didn't like what she said after, because she said, "You slept with Nikki." Brooke and Lucas were broken up when he slept with Nikki. You can't even compare that.
Yeah, so in a way, that was his Chris. So yeah.
But they weren't together.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke was done with Lucas when he slept with Nikki. Here, Lucas and Brooke's feelings were in a relationship, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they may have not have called each other boyfriend and girlfriend, their emotions were.
Right.
So it's different than sleeping with Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
Because those two were done, over, never going to get back together. Here, they were moving towards that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what was wrong. And that's why you can't even compare. I didn't even like that she threw that in his face. And I feel like that's when he should have said, we weren't together. I wish he would have defended himself against the whole Nikki thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did say that he didn't have feelings for Brooke at the time. So that's how he, comes to the conclusion that she doesn't have feelings for him.
But again, they were not together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she says that she cares about him so much, and Lucas says that she has a hell of a way of showing it. So then Brooke says she doesn't know why she did it. She was drinking and jealous that he was with Rachel, but she thinks it was really because she was afraid to get close to him again. And Lucas tells her that she doesn't have to worry about that now, does she? And she says that she didn't expect him to be kind about this, but seeing him this way is even worse than she thought it would be. And he says, good. And then she walks out. So they both kind of had their reasons here. I could see both his side and her side in this moment, but she just dragged, even if this was true, of her not wanting to get close to him again, it was just dragged on way too long, and then she just should have admitted to him sooner, before this happened. So,
a couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I would have, after maybe the date at least, or not the date, but the date, before the dates, or the not Halloween costume or party, masquerade party, just somewhere before she slept with Chris.
Well, I feel like once Rachel had picked Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
it should have been Brooke goes up to Lucas and apologizes and says, Rachel picked you, but here's the reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wouldn't have went on the date, which means she wouldn't have went on the date. And all that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But again, she should never have picked him in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. That also would have been her indication that she likes Lucas and she wants nobody else to have him, if she would have just picked him at the fantasy draft.
Right. So then in the studio, Haley's playing the piano when a guy walks in, saying there's a call from Chris, but he's not there. So the guy tells the caller that they're going to have to...
yes. Oh, my God. And this is where he says that, that Chris bought rented the Batman costume.
Yeah, because it was the person who sold it or rented him that was calling him.
Yeah. And that's where we find out. And then Haley's look on her face. And then it goes to
stops playing.
It goes to the flashback though of it. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
But I do agree 100% with what Brooke says, which is, how do you not know that it was Chris and not Nathan? And I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
Both of those kisses are how do you not know? You were married to Nathan. You don't know that's because I know I didn't recap that episode with you.
Yeah.
But it was my feeling of how do you not know that that's not Nathan? Come on now. You kiss him how much? How many times have you kissed Nathan and you don't know that's not Nathan?
Yeah, me and JC pointed that out too.
It was annoying.
Mm-hmm. So then Nathan and Chris get to the river boat to play the poker game, of all places. Nathan guesses Chris has a gun in the guitar case.
Yeah,
so they can just rob it.
Why is it on a boat?
Well, yeah, Chris says that he doesn't want to leave his guitar there because Nathan's car is not, looking so great. It's not brand new. It's kind of a junker car.
No, but why is this poker game on a boat?
Oh, I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, they don't really explain. Just that was just the location. And then Chris says he looks cool playing carrying a guitar too. That's just the reason why for bringing it in. And then when they start walking toward the table, Chris explains to Nathan that this is the guy that he lost the money to, named Marty, and he scares him. So then they get to the table. So Chris introduces Nathan to all of them, including 2 cops. So I don't know how they got. I mean, I do know how they got away with this, but it's still shocking anyhow. And then Nathan has a hard time believing Chris is scared of Marty just because he's a little person. So he's underestimating him. And Chris tells Marty that Nathan is a big poker player, and Marty thinks Chris is using big as some kind of joke. So Chris tries to explain that what he meant is that he knows how to play.
This is so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, with the whole Marty thing, it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing because you're like, no. I'm like, Chris, you should really stop talking.
Yeah,
And I'm surprised Nathan didn't say like, shut up, because it would be a Nathan move of like, shut up right now.
Yeah. So then Marty, picks on him and asks if Chris has his buy-in money or is he a little short. So everyone at the table laughs and Chris throws the money on the table. Marty calls Chris a human ATM, but it's his loss. And then Haley gets home to where Brooke is watching a telenovela, and Haley asks if she talked to Lucas, saying, that Brooke is so sad. And Haley asks, where did it go wrong? And Brooke explains that she slept with Chris Keller and mentions Haley went on tour with him. So Haley says that she meant, like, when did they start letting boys dictate their happiness? And Brooke says she was 9.
I was 9.
Which is funny and sad at the same time. And Haley says it has to stop, and she tells Brooke that she's just got too much talent with her fashion line. And Brooke says not anymore, because she feels like she doesn't have it with the store taken away from her. And Haley tells her that, they just stole a couple of designs, but not her talent. So then Brooke mentions she does have a couple of unfinished dresses. So Haley says that she'll help her finish them. And then they say, they'll put together a website and sell it themselves. But I'm just wondering about the money. I mean, they have the apartment, but like the website thing too, that's another thing that they would have to pay for too. Unless they were using some kind of website that lets people create their own websites from that. So they wouldn't have to necessarily have to really pay that for it.
I feel like Mouth would know how to get it without paying it.
Yeah, he probably does. Because didn't he hack something too? Oh yeah, he was doing the projector. Yeah, he does all the tech here. He hacked into the time capsule videos and switched out Anna's. But so then that's the first time Brooke kind of says her slogan.
Close over bros.
Yeah. And
I know. I was like, is this the first time she says close over bros?
Yeah, I think it is. Because before it was hose over bros that she said to pay in the one time, but not letting guys get between them. So
I'm going to say it.
What?
People are going to be mad, but I'm going to say it. She said close over bros for the very first time with Haley.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not Peyton.
She did not say it with Peyton.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying because, they like to say like these are the best friends, as in Brooke and Peyton, and they're the soulmates, and they're the this and that. And it's like, but first of all, I've always said, how good of friends are they? Because all they do is, fight and break up with friends, and they're not solid. Yeah. And it's like, again, Peyton is not helping Brooke, and Haley is there, and she says her slogan with Haley. She's not saying it with Peyton. Like, it just shows you that these two are better friends. And I love Brooke and Peyton, but there's so much of like one says something and they don't like what they say, and now they're in a fight, or a boy comes between. It's like there's so much fighting between these two. It's actually annoying. Where Haley and Brooke, you've seen them through the seasons of getting to this point, right? To season 3.
Yeah.
Where they're true friends and they're there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the time, Brooke is not there for Peyton. We've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know who she actually has been there for? Haley.
Haley. Mm-hmm.
Think about it. She's the one that got Nathan and Haley together in season 1, remember? On their date. She's the one that got Nathan to come to the double date. I mean, she's the one that puts Haley's feelings first. She never puts Peyton's feelings first. Never.
Right.
Peyton, remember, she was doing the drugs and she can't say her feelings because Brooke has other things going on. And it's like, no, because again, here they're both going through stuff, but they're there for each other.
Yeah.
And that's the friendship you should idolize, not the Brooke and Peyton.
Yeah.
Like, to me, they were just two dysfunctional kids. Like, their parents weren't there. They bonded over that, basically. But they didn't have a strong foundation. But I feel like Brooke and Haley always did. They learned to trust each other. They learned to help each other.
Yeah. Because
Peyton and Brooke did not.
Yeah, because later on we know that because Peyton and Brooke's situation was always because a boy was in the middle, or Lucas was in the middle of them. But then even later, when with Haley and Brooke, when kind of Nathan was in the middle of them for a minute, like they still worked past that, and then get into the biggest fight ever, like Brooke and Peyton did. So, but did Brooke ever live with Peyton at some point?
Yep. Well,
Was it
Peyton moved. Well, in season 5, Peyton moved in with Brooke.
Oh, okay. I can't remember. I thought they did at some point. I just can't remember. So it was after she left with Haley then.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was gonna say my thing was maybe it was because they lived together. That was the reason why they got so close. But then I remember like Brooke at some point was with Peyton, so that doesn't stand up. But yeah. So
no, and that's why I'm like, here it is. Like this is the true friendship. I feel like. I don't know why people love Brooke and Peyton so much when it was dysfunctional. And again, Brooke was never there for Peyton.
Yeah.
She was in season 5 when it came down to Lucas. She was there for her. But the rest of but all 4 seasons, she was not there for her. Right. Not really. Like I know that, there's the season 4 dramatic scene we all know about. Yeah. Where Brooke finally shows that she's there for Peyton. But okay, it took you 4 seasons to get there?
Yeah. Because I don't know if you remember, but they said that the creator put all the girls against each other. So they had Hillary and Sophia fight in real life. So maybe they were just kind of going off of that, like because like even Lee Norris said that the writers were taking something from his personal life, and they were just basically taking storylines from a lot of actors' real life situations. So I think that was the thing too that made that acting even easier because they were fighting in real life too, which is bad. But yeah, I don't know. I think just it was the writers and the creator that just didn't want them to get along nowhere in this show.
Yeah, but I'm saying for fans and for Hillary and Sophia to say Brooke and Peyton are the friendship. Brooke and Peyton, you should idolize. Brooke and Peyton, you should not idolize. If I had a daughter, I would say, get the F away from Brooke. She is not a good friend.
Yeah.
Find someone like Haley. Find that friendship. Because especially when you get older, do you really want to fight constantly with your friend or walk on eggshells with your friend? I mean, that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's like Brooke always forgot about Peyton. I mean, when she was unemployed, do you remember when she made that whole unemployed little badge thing for Jamie, and it was Peyton Sawyer unemployed? And it's like she's making a joke out of her friend in her one of her darkest moments. And you were going to make a joke out of that?
Right.
That's what I mean. Did she ever make a joke really out of Haley? Not really. But she did when it came to Peyton. Peyton's life became Brooke's punchline. And you see it in season 4 when she's joking about her mom dying and that kind of stuff. Like, remember Peyton's like, they fight over that of, my mom's death. What is your punchline? And, but again, what friendship does that?
So they're basically Dawson and Pacey.
Yes. And that was not a real friendship.
No.
And that's what I mean of when people say, like, that's why I don't like when they bring up like Brooke and Peyton and not Brooke and Haley. Like, that is the friendship I idolize. I want, not that. Because for Peyton to have to go through everything alone and to not feel comfortable after 10 years of friendship, to be able to tell your friend, I am doing drugs. I am in the darkest point of my life. And for you not to be able to feel comfortable to say that to your best friend. Are you really the best friend? Like, is that really the friendship we should idolize?
Right.
You should be able to go to your best friend in the time of need.
Yep.
But we didn't get to see that out of Brooke and Peyton. Not really.
No.
So that's what I don't like, is that we should be idolizing Brooke and Haley more. We should be focusing more on that relationship because it grows. It doesn't just end. It grows. Like the Peyton and Haley, they kind of go back and forth like through the seasons of like, they're close and they're not. They're close, they're not. But Brooke and Haley are the ones that are there. Through thick and thin, always will be, have the best advice for each other, get each other through it. I mean, because think about it, Haley would have really nothing if it wasn't for Brooke right now.
Right.
She wouldn't have a place to live. Yeah, she could live on the couch at Karen's. But that's it. Brooke is the one that is there for her. Brooke is the one that helps get Nathan and Haley back together. She's the one that's there.
Yep.
And it's in this episode that Haley is taking on that responsibility and is there for Brooke.
Right.
And again, what is the one thing about Brooke in the years to come? What is she known for? Her clothes. Her designing her own clothes.
Yep.
Who helped start that?
Haley.
Wasn't Peyton. It's like, and I love Peyton, but she was not there in the moments that were important in Brooke's life. She was not there. I'm sorry, but she just wasn't. Like, yeah, they were friends, but Peyton wasn't the one pushing her to do this.
Right. I mean, she did help her steal clothes from the store, but then it pretty much stopped after that. So,
but stealing the clothes. That was it.
Yeah. And then, so Peyton wakes up at home and is still seeing her dark angel self.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
As I said, after the first time, it was too much.
So, she says to her other self that it's one thing for her to haunt her dreams, but she's awake now. I think I would be losing my mind if I was still seeing this figure awake. So I'm surprised Peyton didn't try to reach out to. I mean, she probably didn't want to look crazy either, but still, the angel asks if Peyton's sure she's if it's not about because the guilt never sleeps. And Peyton asks if the angel is her subconscious, and they just kind of go back at it.
So again, like we know Brooke is in a different state of mind right now, but shouldn't Peyton have went to Brooke again? If you're best friends, and again, like she's alone in this house. She's having this, basically nightmare.
Or maybe
shouldn't she have like went to Brooke and said like, hey, can I sleep here because I cannot sleep alone because of this haunting me?
Yeah.
Again, if that was your best friend of 10 years or however long they've been friends, you should feel comfortable to go to your best friend and say, I need to like sleep here. I mean, Brooke did it all the time at Peyton's. She would crash there. So why can't Peyton crash in Brooke's bed?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no one else was crashing in Brooke's bed. So
Right.
I don't know. I just didn't like that because, again, it's like the friendship's one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Peyton is alone in this.
Right.
And by the way, I do love Peyton season 3 hair. I love that hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
I wanted that hair.
Mm-hmm. So then the angel, I feel like the angel was only really here just to keep asking her where Ellie's bracelet was because apparently she lost it and didn't even realize it. So
Well, I think it was to like show Peyton like you care about Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
You need to fix this before it's too late.
Yeah. It's just she was annoying me how she kept saying, "Where's the bracelet?" as if she didn't, already hear it before. But then I mean she wasn't looking for it beforehand like the last time, but so it's just annoying me. And then that's when Payne is woken up by Brooke, who walks into her room because she's looking for new art material. And then this was a moment too where Payne mentioned she lost Ellie's cancer bracelet, and Brooke's like, "What?" but doesn't like pay attention.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I feel like if I would have said that, you would have been like, "What bracelet?"
Mm-hmm.
And then you would have been like, "Let's look for it."
Yeah.
But Brooke, it just goes over her head. She's only there to get steal a drawing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's my other problem with Brooke was you're stealing Peyton's artwork. Did
Mm-hmm.
you authorize this? Like,
Yeah.
I know Peyton would
Mm-hmm.
because that's her friend.
Yeah.
But I just think it's wrong, just like it's wrong to walk in Lucas's bedroom. I think it's
Mhm.
wrong to steal someone's artwork. It should have been a quick moment of, can I have this? And Peyton says yes, not steal it. But then again, that's been Brooke's motive since day one with Peyton is
Mhm.
just interferes in her personal life. Remember? Taking
Mhm.
pictures of her and everything. That's just
Yeah.
what Brooke does without telling Peyton
Yeah.
until after the damage is done.
Yeah. She's violated Peyton many times in her room.
Yep.
And her privacy. Because with, like you said, with that and then like with the closet door and
Oh yeah.
and then putting her profile on her own computer, that dating profile. So just Peyton's room should be the safest room in the whole house, for in her life. But Brooks just kind of ruined it in some way. So maybe that's part of the reason why Peyton keeps changing it, like how it looks and everything, but as if she's trying to like renew it. But yeah, so and then like Brooke's saying that she needs to make new clothes, so because clothes make you look hot, and the boys want to make out with you.
So it always comes back to the boys then.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Haley said, like, basically, let's start, putting ourselves first and not let the boys dictate our lives. Well, it's for Brooke, yeah, it's clothes, but it's to make boys look at you. Like it's always now coming back to boys.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be how you feel in the clothes, not how a boy sees you.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been how Brooke took it.
Yeah.
And I wish that's how it would have been because that's how you want the girls, like younger girls, to see of like, have this confidence to make yourself look good, but not for a boy.
Right. Unless it's like kind of a thing where she's changing who she is around certain people. Just to make yourself fit in with other people, or maybe that's the person that they see you as. So maybe it's just easier to stick with that. I don't know. But yeah, she just kind of went backwards on that one. But yeah, so she just takes the drawings with her, and then Peyton is left wondering where Ellie's bracelet is.
Well, and Peyton doesn't even know what drawing she took.
Yeah. She does later and doesn't seem to be mad at it, but yeah.
It's never brought up of like, oh, that, because Peyton very easily could have said, I like that you picked that drawing.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been very simple of like, that's how Peyton accepts it.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't.
Right.
And so we're just left with, she doesn't condone this, but she also doesn't speak up because Peyton never speaks up.
Mm-hmm. And then at the poker game, Chris tells Marty he's bluffing, and Marty tells him to call him and find out. And Chris says he'll do more than that. He'll raise him. He's all in. And Nathan tells Chris he shouldn't do that, put all the money in at the same time. And Chris tells Nathan he's bluffing, but Marty isn't. So Chris has nothing, of course. And Nathan is mad, and, Chris lost a pair of threes. And, then Chris pulls out Nathan's car keys and, even puts that in the pile to gamble away. And then Nathan tries to say something, but Marty grabs the keys too fast.
Didn't Chris have jewelry on?
Yeah, probably. I didn't really notice.
Well, he should have used his own stuff first.
Yeah. And Marty says he'll just give Chris $50 for the car. And Chris says it's a deal for some reason. And, Nathan just can't believe he's doing this. And he just wants him to get out of there. But Chris tells, Nathan if he wants to get Haley's tape back or what. So then Marty says he'll give them $50 and a condom so they can get a room. And the rest of them are just going to play poker. Yeah, so that was just a joke of them, Nathan and Chris being gay. Because they like to put that in there in the 2000s all the time. And then, yeah, so Nathan just wants to get out of there, but Chris is trying to get what he can from the game. And then we see Brooke pointing out the heart of the picture that Payne drew of her. Brooke and Lucas shooting at the hearts. But of course, Brooke doesn't know it's about them. And then we see the scorched card saying, for everything you've done.
You don't think Brooke knows that's them?
I don't know. She didn't seem to be hurt by it or, look at it for more than a second before cutting out the heart. So I don't know.
Well, she knows it's them shooting at his number.
Mm-hmm. But she doesn't think of what it means.
Yeah, but I think she does. I think she just knows it's also really old.
Maybe, yeah. And then, so Lucas is the one that's looking at that card, not Dan like you think it would be. And then Karen is on the phone telling the caller that she needs to ask them something if they killed Dan because she needs to know the truth. So again, we don't know who she's calling. Do we even find out? I can't remember. Well,
we know who Dan suspects.
Right.
In the next couple episodes.
Mm-hmm. So then it just seemed like he wouldn't give Karen the time of day, even for something like this. I don't know. Because he just seemed to remove himself completely from her life. But then back at the poker game, they're playing another game now, I guess, it looks like. And Marty's suspicious of Nathan for doing so well. Because he says no one's that lucky.
Well, and yeah, about the person she's calling.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know he blames Keith. It's very hard to believe that Keith would pick up Karen's phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, he was done. Like when he left, because the whole Jules thing and Karen knew he was done. Well, then why would you pick up her phone call?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like he just seemed like he was done and removed himself.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right that he would answer, especially out of the blue after all this time.
Mm-hmm. Unless she emailed or texted him that it was an emergency. I don't know.
But even then, I still feel like he wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
Unless she said it was about Lucas, because I feel like that'd be the only thing he'd answer for is that Lucas was in danger.
Yeah. So then at the poker game, Nathan asks Marty if he has a short temper, so he's playing in that game now, making jokes of his height and size. But then a guy at a table says something's messed up about this, and Chris tells him, "Yeah, your teeth." Just throwing insults. And Marty says he's right. For the last 2 hours, every time Chris deals, Nathan wins. So that was stupid on Chris's part to make it be that obvious. And then,
he's really trying to get that money.
Yeah. And then Marty slams his hand on, the table and yells, that's been 2 hours straight because, Nathan's trying to make it look like that's not true. And then he tells Chris if they turn over those cards and Nathan has a pair of anything, his ass is as good as dead. So then Chris says this is crap and tells Nathan it's time for them to go. So now something's up because before he wasn't wanting to go at all. So he gets up from the table, but the cops stand up to stop him from leaving. And Nathan says, he lost a lot tonight. And that's when security shows up and asks if there's a problem. And Murray says there's no problem.
Yeah, he says, so as long as that card's not a jack. And then he flips it over.
Yep. And it's another jack.
Yep.
And then Chris tells
time to fight.
Yeah, Chris tells Marty he doesn't want to hit him but then he doesn't finish his sentence, but we know what he was going to say. Because Marty cuts him off, telling Chris if he has something to say, he better say it. So then instead of saying what he was going to say, he just punches Marty and then takes off. Mm-hmm.
So I have a question, though. You know how Chris throws in the keys, right? Nathan's keys.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, they're on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
How do they know? How does Marty and them know that Nathan's car is junk, as they would say? It's not worth more than $50.
Probably because they just don't want to give them that much money, even for a good car.
I'm you didn't even see it. It could be Dan Scott's brand new car. They don't know. So I'm what? Like, how, what? I was
Yeah.
confused at that. I'm like, not like just thinking about it. I'm like, but they didn't see the car.
Yeah, well, I
They're
mean,
on a boat.
either way, they would get a good car for cheap money. So then, yeah, so just like the Midnight Madness game, everybody in the whole place starts fighting each other, even though the
And I
fight,
love how Nathan
yeah,
was jumping over somebody to get out.
mm-hmm. And yeah, then when when Chris was trying to get out of there, he grabbed his guitar case and hits one of the cops. So that was funny.
Mhm.
And then Chris and Nathan run outside, but the group from the table chase them. It's a dead end for them.
I love when Nathan like is like, we gotta jump and stuff, and Chris is like, I can't swim. And then Nathan throws his guitar in the water, and Chris is
Mhm.
like, what? And he's like, it's either that or die.
Yeah.
So they didn't Nathan like kind of push Chris in the water?
Yeah, he did a little bit,
Because
like
they
pushed
were
him on his
right
butt.
there.
Yeah, but that was only after making sure that Chris had the money. But I guess they weren't. I guess in the moment they weren't thinking that if you jump in the water with money in your pocket, that's not going to end up good.
I also didn't know that if the guitar gets soaked, it'll be
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Right? No, it shouldn't have been with the way that they fell like that.
Because you might as well have just left it there because
Mhm.
it's now damaged.
Unless the guitar case is waterproof, but I don't think so.
No,
And
especially
then
2005.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't think Chris has the money for that kind of guitar case.
Yeah, and then they did jump pretty high too. It was almost at the top of the boat. It was like the second highest deck. So then later they make it to shore where Chris checks his guitar and is happy that it still works. And then Nathan can't believe that's his priority. And Nathan says his phone is dead, so they're in the middle of nowhere with no place to get
And
help.
again, you're jumping with everything that means everything to you, the money, the guitar, and your cell phone. Of course, it's not going to work. If you accidentally put your phone in the sink or what, like, it's going to not work. What?
Yeah,
And
so
now
that's
you're
why.
jumping in a body of water. Of course, it's never going to work again. Really, Nathan?
Yeah, so that wasn't like them getting the situation was his fault, but not them going in the water was his fault. So yeah, because he should know that most things that go into water can't survive.
Yeah, you can't save that stuff, Nathan. Really? Yeah, I was just like confused at why Nathan actually believed his phone would work. Just out of nowhere, my phone's gonna work. No, I don't know. Okay, again, it's not even like it was in the rain. Because I'm sure it could survive that. You just have to put it in salt or something.
Rice,
But,
yeah.
rice. But I'm just like, why in the world would you think in a body of water in the ocean, you would think that that's okay?
Right.
And again, then he says, give me the money. And then he pulls out, and of course it's life honor. Like, really?
Yeah. And that was funny how he tells Chris to thank him, for not letting him drown. And Chris says that Chris Keller was dogpiling just fine. And Nathan says that Chris Keller was sinking just fine.
That was funny. That's what I mean. Their dynamic is so funny. I love watching Nathan and Chris.
Yeah. So when he sees that there's, just that $1 bill that's soaked, Nathan tells him that I should have let him drown. And then
it was I thought it was funny when Nathan walks away and Chris was like, it's spooky out here. Like, no. I'm like, you guys have been sitting here going back and forth, and now you're gonna say it's spooky?
Yeah.
And then I love when they're walking and Nathan pushes Chris.
Yeah, and he didn't fall down.
He like falls.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he didn't fall down to the ground, which you think he would with that kind of push, but
and he didn't really fall to the ground kind of when he was getting attacked on the boat. But Nathan pushes him once and he's going to fall like that.
And then at the town hall for the election, Lucas gets there and asks if Karen is okay. She says she's a little nervous because she's giving her final speech in a few minutes. And Lucas tells her that Dan told him that he thinks someone tried to kill him. So then Karen says that the fire was ruled an accident. That kind of makes her look suspicious. But Lucas asks, what if it wasn't? And what if Dan has proof? Even though that wasn't proof at all that he had. But anyways.
Well, also, Dan said, or he thinks someone tried to kill him. Of course, somebody tried to kill him. What?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that known?
I guess
Why
not.
is he just saying Dan thinks someone tried? Of course someone tried.
Right.
You don't just burn down your own place
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
put yourself in the fire.
Mm-hmm. So Lucas is asking Karen if winning the election was worth the risk, and she says maybe she should drop out. And that's when Deb walks out saying it's time for her speech and that someone had flowers delivered for her. And she reminds Karen that she has to stand by Dan, but tells her good luck. And then Karen sees that the flowers are from Andy.
That's what I mean. We do get an Andy shout out. So
Mm-hmm.
it does kind of make you question. I mean, we know, now who she was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have assumed it was Andy because he's then brought up in here.
Yeah.
So it's like he didn't truly disappear because he didn't
Mm-hmm.
get her. And they're still in communication if he knows she's running for mayor.
Yep.
Because you would think that when I honestly thought, I didn't remember all this.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Karen and Dan ran for mayor, and I remember Dan winning, but I didn't remember all these little details. And so, to hear that Andy is somewhat still in the picture, we don't see him, but she's
Mm-hmm.
still talking to him. I'm like, I thought when he left and he went back home, I thought that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Until season 5. I didn't think that we heard from him again, really. But
Right.
now we do, and she's in communication with him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought in my memory, I thought it was like Andy leaves, and then at some point, season 3, Keith comes back, and everything's good. And I'm like, but here we are almost halfway through season 3, and she's still in communication with Andy.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of did have two loves.
Yeah.
Andy and Keith. Because did you remember that she was still talking to Andy?
Well, I remember he came back later, so I know there had been some way that he did that, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
No.
right before her and Keith get together?
No, not really.
Because this is already episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
And we know it happens in episode 16. So I'm saying it's not too far away
Right.
of Karen and Keith.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what threw me off.
Yeah. So then when she goes to the podium, that's when Dan tells her not to stumble on the word conceit, of course.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so she's first up to speak to the crowd. So then she mentions how, Lucas asked her if the election was important to her. And she says, yes, but what's more important is believing in your fellow man. She basically goes on this good speech. And that toward the end, she says, with that said, she wishes to concede, but not the election, but to concede that when she decided to run for mayor, she underestimated her opponent and the depths to which he would go to hurt and humiliate others.
So I like that she said that, but I was honestly surprised that Dan didn't give her cards to read.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. He did it to Deb because he wanted to sound like this perfect man, which nobody's perfect. And then, I mean, I feel like if they're that perfect, then there's something wrong. They're hiding something. But I was just like, I really thought he would hand her cards of like, here you go. Like, it's all about me. Make sure you say this. But he didn't. He let her actually speak for herself.
Yeah.
What?
And then when she was done, everybody cheers, including Lucas and Deb. So that we got to see that. So then when he walks up to the podium, he says, what his opponent decided, that his opponent has decided to write him off based on a recent video. But it's not just the video. Even if it wasn't the video that existed, she still has known him for at least half of her life at this point. So
ever since she was a teenager.
Yeah, so she knows him better than anybody besides for Deb. But so because of course he says that the tape is fake, and Lucas knows that.
Again, why isn't it brought up that Lucas is his? In town, everyone knows that Lucas is his, and why? I would be questioning, why isn't this person that's running? Why isn't his kid living with him? Why doesn't he have 50-50 custody? Well, I would be asking all of these questions, and the fact that nobody in town is asking these questions, what?
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be somebody in the town that's like talking about it. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he wants to say it's fake, but that would be a lie, he says.
Well, and too. So the boys on the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their parents are obviously voters.
Yeah.
You don't think that their kid comes home and tells them this crazy crap that Dan does to Nathan or Lucas?
Yeah, they should, especially after that.
And then, do you remember when Dan was their coach?
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me that those boys didn't come home and talk about how terrible Dan was as a coach?
Mm-hmm.
And then you would make sure you tell your friends, this is what he did to my son. He made my son get sick. And he made my son had to watch Lucas puke on the floor. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, and he pushed my son so hard in basketball. Like, you would know that. And then you would tell your friends in the community not to vote for him.
Right.
So how is it Dan is still this amazing person in town when they all should know who he is?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't get.
Yeah. So he says it's an accurate description of a man at his worst, and he's not proud of it. So he asks for understanding and for forgiveness, a second chance. And then he goes to his second cue card where the bullet, the first choke. The first bullet point says pause to choke. So he does that, choke up, and then he goes on to say that the identification is the first step to recovery. So I felt like he was doing that to get it like a jab at Deb. But then he says to stand before them, a man who has woken up. He is not perfect. He's just a guy trying to be a good husband and father who sometimes comes up short.
I think it was weird when he said, if you elect me, you'll be electing a work in progress, but you'll also be electing a man who will never put himself above any of you. Okay, when he first said any of you, I was like, okay, Dan Scott is the perfect representation of somebody who will put himself above you. I'm like, what? And then he said of this town, but I was like, okay, you threw me off when he said you would not put yourself first. That is who Dan is. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, you lost me, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
When you said that. How is it he can say it without like smirking?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, he must have practiced that so many times in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. So the crowd cheers. Deb's face is saying that's all a lie, and Karen's looks like she is, she expected every single word that he said. And then at the apartment, Peyton and Haley are waiting in the living room for Brooke to show them her designs. And Brooke finally walks out saying that these are prototypes, but she introduces them to her new line, Clothes Over Bros, and holds up a black tank top with the heart from Peyton's drawings, having the C over B on it.
Well, and all Peyton says is, I like that. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she shows them more, still with the heart, just different colors and different types of clothing. And then Brooke says that Haley inspired her Clothes Over Bros concert jerseys even. And then she presses play on the CD player, and then Bevan walks out of the bedroom in a dress for a fashion show, and then the other girls from the squad strut the living room runway. So then after the last girl walks out, Brooke tells them that all the clothes are available on clothesoverbros.com. So I wonder if this website existed. I feel like WB would have had to have this your URL just to make sure because surely people probably looked at this to see if it was real, and it probably just put them to the WB website. But I wonder if they did see something else.
You really think it was real?
I don't know. I've known other websites to be like that, like the ones on Nickelodeon, like those websites, because like the Amanda Show was the first one. Like the Amanda Show website was real, as if it was a show that they made in 1998. So I know that. And so then this kind of confirms too that Rachel just disappeared from the squad. I mean, I can't imagine that she would want to be a part of this, but it's just
I don't think Brooke would let her. I think Brooke picked the cheerleaders she likes, and that was it. And definitely didn't include Rachel, because I mean, Rachel tried to steal Lucas from her, so you're definitely not gonna let her participate.
Right.
At least I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. And then back in the woods, Nathan and Chris are walking, walking around. And Chris tells Nathan to slow down. He's not in shape like him. He's weak, which was funny for him to admit. And then Nathan tells him they're 80 miles from home and he gambled away his car. And, because...
Okay, I don't understand this part. Because then Chris was like, I grabbed your keys right before Marty punched me. And I was like, then why are they walking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then who knows how long they've been, already walking. They should have just been walking toward his car. Chris could have just been like, okay, I got your keys. Everything else is messed up, but I got the keys. So we still have the car and they could just walk, because I'm sure they parked near the boat, but now they're walking away from the boat. So who knows what direction they're going in. That's not where the car is. So,
well, and two, like, okay, Chris doesn't want to walk, right? Because he says he's out of shape. Then why would you not tell Nathan as soon as you got on land that, hey, I got the keys. Let's go get your car.
Yeah.
What? Instead of walking miles and then saying, I got the keys. What?
And then he says, too, that he has $500 left on him. So they broke even.
How?
But, yeah, if the money we already saw was already gone and ruined.
I don't get it.
And then, Nathan's like, you can't tell the truth. And Chris says he can because then he confesses that he kissed Haley at the masquerade party.
Nathan punches him.
I will say, that was the first one.
I will say, look, it was so good. And then Chris goes, I was just trying to help you. And then punch.
Yep.
And then he's like, this is why I'm never honest. And Nathan goes, stop hitting, or no, that's when he says, stop hitting me. And he goes, stop kissing my wife. Okay, but this is where Chris definitely he crossed the line. He definitely deserved the next punch for saying, I will when you start kissing her. Boom. Like, boom. I was like, okay, Chris, like, yes, you got hit all those other times, but you should have shut up. The fact that you said for Nathan to start kissing, I was like, no, you know damn well you're gonna get punched for that one. It was like,
but now he's on the ground.
But why would you think that's okay to say? Like, to Nathan, we talked a lot about how the one topic you don't say to Nathan is about Haley. Because if you say anything bad, you're gonna get punched. So why in the world would Chris think that's okay? I mean, he's punched you a bunch of times. So really? But I'm not gonna lie, this whole scene was hilarious.
Yeah.
Just all the punching and all the back talk Chris is saying, it was just way too good. But then Nathan's tone turns though. Well, so does Chris's though, when he was like, when he talks about he bought the same costume and stuff. And I was happy that Chris admitted it. Because obviously when Haley brings it up, Nathan isn't blindsided because Haley didn't explain anything. But Chris already did, so he didn't have to. Or she didn't have to.
Right. Yeah, so apparently Chris just thought it'd be funny if they were both in the same costume. So that's when he got the idea about kissing Haley because he saw they weren't getting along.
Yeah. So. And then he said, I did it for you. Oh my God. And then that's when, Nathan was like, well, because he goes, we're even. And he goes, even? Like, you kissed my wife, you lost all my money, you lied to me about the poker game. Oh my God, it just going on and on. But then this is where Nathan turns because he goes, the worst part is Haley suffers like you screwed her over and stuff. And I'm like, because I think that's when Chris got the idea of the guitar in the end.
Yeah.
Like at this point.
And then Haley and Brooke are looking at Brooke's clothes at the apartment after the other girls left. Haley, being the tutor girl, points out the apostrophe doesn't need to be in bros, but Brooke says it's her fashion line and she's keeping it. And Haley thinks it's fair. She did herself, and that's when Brooke tells Haley that she helped her too. So then Haley says she feels like a fraud.
Again, where's Peyton?
Right. She
Like,
left.
why would you just leave right after? Like, shouldn't this have been girls' time? Like,
Yeah.
again, Brooke and Peyton were always together, right? In like season 1. Why wouldn't she hang out for the night?
I don't know. Yeah, because we know that Peyton has nothing to really go home to. So, but Haley says she feels like a fraud because she told her to put herself before boys, and she was secretly hoping, spending the day thinking about Nathan. And Brooke asks if something happens. So that's when Haley brings up the kiss at the party, but it was actually it might have been Chris. And that was funny when Brooke says Kringle, and then she asks how
And she goes, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, but that's what I mean is I agree with Brooke of like, how do you not know? I just don't get it. Well, and I didn't like when she said, well, I just was hoping. And I'm like, it still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because you know damn well that wasn't him. And then for you to go up the next day to him and be like, oh, like, I want to talk about last night. And it's like, what? Because again, she knew about the kiss, but that's why I didn't care for that whole thing either.
Right. Yeah, so Haley knows that Nathan knows that didn't happen between them, so she's thinking that maybe Nathan's going along with it so he can keep things pleasant before the divorce is final. But Brooke doesn't believe that. And, Brooke says, about herself that she loves her clothes, but there's an ache in her heart where Lucas used to be. And she doesn't think covering it up with stylish and smarty price sweat tops is going to make it go away. And then the next scene, Chris walks out of the studio with Haley's master's demo and everything. And Nathan's confused how he got it all because they only had 500. So Chris says that he has a way with people and then says he's just going to leave. And then when he picks up his guitar, it wasn't locked. So, so it falls open.
Case, yeah. And that's when Nathan sees there's no guitar and he's like, you sold your guitar. Chris goes, it was waterlogged anyway. Then how could you even sell it?
Right, yeah.
And I do believe it was waterlogged because how could it survive? And then, Nathan was like, you love that guitar, but, I do think he wanted to finally do the right thing after all that.
Yeah.
But then he said, tell Haley that her song's a hit, unless you want to lose her again.
Right. And they do shake on it that they're even now. So then he starts walking away until Nathan stops him and asks where he's going. And Chris says Chris Keller's work here is done, so he keeps walking.
Oh my God. The fact, when I heard this, I thought it was funny because he's going to say that in the future. So he says it twice in the series.
Yeah. So then Payne lays down in bed and turns off her light when the angel asks if she found it yet. So Payne is frustrated that the angel won't let her sleep or, stop thinking about the bracelet. So she turns on the light and she asks the angel if she has a heart attack, will she die too? And the angel says that's sweet. And Payne says that she's not arguing with her.
I will say it was all funny. This part was funny.
Yeah. So, the angel, says that we do this every day or all the time. Am I going to look stupid? Am I pretty enough? Does Jake want to get in my pants? Should Lucas be with me instead of Brooke? So that was like the first inkling that maybe Payne still has feelings for Lucas. But then Payne tells the angel that she's wrong. Lucas and her are just friends and Jake loved her. And the angel says, whatever you say, cheerleader.
I will say that I do think for Peyton, she loves Lucas, but she knows that her friend loves him too. And Brooke isn't the person to like hold her feelings.
Yeah.
And Peyton is. Peyton's like, I'll just suffer the rest of my life and let you be happy. But I do think she loves him.
Yeah. And then she just keeps getting her face about everything. Like her mom died, Jake left, Ellie lied.
Well, and then she goes, and then that's when Peyton says, you really are a bitch. And then that's when the devil, I want to call her, said, well, you're the one that sent her away. And that maybe you're the one that drives people away. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then she asks where the bracelet is again.
Yeah. She's on this whole bracelet thing. But I get it. It's because it's like, Ellie is important. You need to wake up and realize that.
Yeah.
Before it's too late.
So then Karen and Lucas watch the news report about Dan being the lead. And then, Lucas says that there's still a chance that she could win.
I thought that was sweet of like Lucas to be like the son that's like, no, there's still a chance. And she's like, no, it's over. But I just thought it was nice of like him encouraging his mom.
Yeah. And then she says it's not about losing, it's about Dan. Even though he might be wrong about the fire, if he thinks it's something intentional, he won't stop until he finds someone to blame, and she worries for that person. So then Dan is introduced as the soon-to-be mayor in the crowd, walking down the stairs, but Deb stays upstairs.
And everyone's cheering. Why? I don't get it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Lucas stands next to her and says, makes you wonder, do the wicked never lose? Because Dan is the worst at them all. And Deb asks how Karen is doing, and Lucas says she's worried about her. She just doesn't know it yet. And that's when he hands her the card.
Well, and then I love how she was like playing it like, what is this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, you know what that is.
Yeah.
And then that's when he says that was the last shred of evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as he knows, there's nothing else to tie her to this. And Dan tells the crowd the results will be in any minute and he will win. And Lucas tells Deb that Dan knows it wasn't an accident. And then we get another flashback.
So, yeah, because at first when he was talking to Deb, I was just like, how does Lucas? I was so confused because I was like, how does Lucas know that it's Deb?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all, like, if you've seen it before, you know it's Deb. But I'm just like, how does Lucas know? Like, when did he know when he was pulling Dan out of the fire that it was Deb this whole time?
Yeah.
Until we see it finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, she's wearing all black too, but then when she gets in the car, she doesn't keep her hood up. She takes it down.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, he has cameras. He has them outside. Why?
I thought it was only inside.
Well, you would be dumb if you don't have cameras outside.
Because
he probably has cars. Like, okay, look around here. Like, we have dealerships. They leave cars outside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you really think they're not going to have cameras on the outside to watch their cars, their expensive cars?
Yeah, I was just saying that, like, would he? Because wouldn't that be the first cameras, the kind of cameras that he checks to see if the person got away afterward?
Yeah. So I just feel like but that's what that's what I mean. I don't get what cameras he is looking at because you would see it all play out.
Yeah, because he only has a store camera footage. So that's why it seems like he didn't have any other cameras that he could look at. So,
but I just feel like Dan Scott would. Well, he wants to protect everything, so he would have cameras on the outside to like see who comes in and out.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas tells Deb that maybe this can set her free. And Dan tells, yeah,
if Dan knows, like, he won't stop. So like once he finds out, it's like Deb's gonna be a goner. Like he's gonna do something.
Yeah. So then Dan tells the crowd that they should know by now that you can't kill Dan Scott.
This was funny. About that. You can't kill Dan Scott. It's like, oh my God. Well, you know what I was thinking when he said, I was like, well, you can try.
Yeah.
Is in like everyone has tried.
And then Dan tells the supporters he can't do this alone. And to that end, he liked to bring out his beautiful and supportive wife to enjoy the moment with him.
And she ain't there. It was so good.
Yep.
But also, doesn't it make her look guilty for walking away?
Yeah. So then he tells the crowd that it's true what they say. It's lonely at the top, and the people cheer for him.
But wouldn't you in the crowd be like, why isn't his wife coming out?
Yeah, you would think so, but some people just don't have that common sense, I guess.
Because that'd be in my head of like, why isn't she here?
Then at Nathan's parents' house, he puts Haley's CD in his really cool CD player, and we hear Halo. And then he finds a card for him, but we don't see what it says. And then at Peyton's, she's scrambling through her records to find the bracelet. She's upset she can't find it, and the angel walks out of the bathroom and asks Peyton, why does she think Ellie came to see her? She has cancer and regrets and closing up shop, and Payne tells her that she's in remission. And the angel says to Payne that's a lie. She's dying, and, Payne keeps arguing with her that she's not. And then the angel annoyingly asks where the bracelet is again, even though she's looking for it at that moment. And Payne's voice breaks when she says she lost it, and Payne then loudly goes through her toolbox that she has in her room for some reason with her art supplies, looking for it. And the angel tells Payne that the last thing Ellie wanted in this world was to get to know her, and she sent her away, just making her feel more and more, bad and guilty. And then we see Deb driving and calling someone to say Lucas knows. So we know later that was Nathan, or was that Nathan?
I don't know who that was. It Keith?
Yeah, I don't know, because I was gonna say Nathan doesn't know that
Dad did
anybody,
it.
or that anybody tried to kill his dad. So
Well, I'm sure he knows someone tried.
he just
Again,
never
you
mentions
don't
it.
you
So.
don't just set your dealership on fire.
And then we go back to Dan celebrating with his win with confetti and balloons and slow mo.
And nobody next to him.
And he goes from smiling to frowning because I guess he realizes that he is alone in his celebration. And then Haley walks into Nathan's room. He invited her there. He thanks her for coming, and she thanks him for calling.
So again, nobody locks their doors.
Nope. And then, Nathan tells her that, he heard her song. Chris played it for him, and it's really great. He just wanted her to know that. And then he tells Haley that his mom left for good, he thinks. And his dad is the mayor now. So today was really bad. And she sits with him and says she's sorry. And Nathan tells Haley that most of his life he would have gone through, this alone. But then he met her and finally found someone he could depend on with his life.
So So then he said that he wants to know if it's still there. That she, and she's like, you can always call me. Her always and forever. And then she did bring up the night of the masquerade party. Did he kiss her? And he lied and said, of course I did. But again, if he wasn't with Chris, he wouldn't have known what the hell she was talking about.
Right.
So I thought that was odd because I'm like, just, yeah, I did, like, going along with it. And I'm like, but for Haley, wouldn't you like question like why? Like, you don't even know anything about this. Like, Chris did it. I don't know. I just thought it was weird. Because if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But then he said, and then they kiss. And she said, no, like, that kiss wasn't as good as that one. And stuff. But then, she gets up, leaves, and he asks her to stay. And I will say, like, it's great because it's like this episode is, the first episode, they're truly getting back together.
Yeah, and it's like a parallel from season 1 when she closed the door the night that Nathan went to see her after he OD'd.
Yeah, except for this one, they're doing more than just laying in bed together.
Yeah. And then we see Chris still walking with his empty guitar case to who knows where. And then Brooke is at home looking at the picture of her and Lucas kissing on her bulletin board of how I spent my summer vacation, and then takes the picture down and looks at it as she holds it. Like,
but she really did kiss all those guys then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so technically she still did that for her summer vacation.
Yeah, it was just like a message like saying like she believes it's completely over now, so there's no point in keeping the picture up there.
No, I'm saying from the start when she had all those pictures up and she wanted Lucas to like be jealous of like, this is my summer. She really did kiss on those guys and spend time with them all. I mean, that wasn't a lie.
No, who says it was a lie?
Well, because they're like, Haley and Peyton are like, well, all you did was think of Lucas and write all those letters. Like, that's what you did. But technically she did. That's why she has all those pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, she did both.
Yeah, she did both, but the girls were trying to make it like she only did the letters. But she technically did the pictures too with the guys.
Yeah, I think it was just more like that's where her heart and mind was more than anything.
Yeah, but she still did it.
And then Brooke ends up going to see Lucas with a box of her letters, telling him that there's 82 there because she wrote one every day.
What was the change in Lucas?
What was he doing before this? I don't even know.
He was with his mom at the election.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't mean anything then.
So we went from him telling Brooke basically, she sleeps around, like that kind of talk, to him with his mom at the election supporting her, to this scene. Because that was my thing. I'm like, he didn't talk to anybody else
about her.
It wasn't like Karen brought up, like, oh, if you love someone, win them back. There was no talk of that. It was just weird how we went from that to, because even when Peyton and Haley were talking to him, he then got to have a conversation with Peyton or with Brooke, and it didn't turn out good. So what transitioned him from that scene this one, him being perfectly okay and telling her that he forgives her and stuff. And I'm like, what? This whole day, you have been on the hate Brooke train.
Yeah, there was nothing, so
that
maybe
was
it
odd.
Could have been deleted scene, who knows? But yeah.
I feel like this should have been the opening maybe of the next scene or of the next episode of like he forgives her, because this does not make sense that he would forgive her that quickly. In one day, you get her out of jail, you have that fight, you do all that, like, it's all in one day because of that shirt he's wearing. It's all in one day.
Yeah, because it could have been better maybe if it was the next day that he said that he forgives her after he read the letter, like after he read the letters or something.
Yeah, like break it up, not that night. Because he threw it in her face that she did sleep, but then here she's bringing it up like, I slept with them, and he's like, I forgive you, and I'm like, what? What? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I did like that she was finally bringing those letters to him and showing him this was what I did. So, and that she was scared.
And then he tells her that he's a guy for her, and he knows that he hurt her last time they were together, and she tells him that she loves him, and he says it back. And then, so yeah, they're officially back together now. But then we see Peyton look up Ellie's home address online. She tells the angel that she found Ellie, so she's, is she happy now? And the angel says to Peyton, no, but Peyton is, and she can wake up now. So then the camera pans to Ellie's article on the wall, right above where Peyton's computer is set up. And then we see Brooke and Lucas kissing in bed, and then along with Haley and Nathan and, making out in his bed. And then Nathan takes off his shirt, where we can see that he's still wearing his wedding ring on the chain. And Haley is also wearing it on hers on her finger. So we know that Nathan had taken it off before the game, but then we never saw him put it back on. And then we never saw her put her ring back on. So I wish they kind of did show that at some point.
No, I didn't need that.
Oh, yeah.
I just needed to know that they still have them, like in this episode. But for continuity issues, what I loved, okay, I'm gonna finally go with something that I love, because I know that I like to critique the shows, but I did love that they had Nathan have the scar from his surgery.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
That little scar, that I feel like he should have had a bigger scar. He still had a scar, and I know like that's the one that we see when it's bleeding and stuff. And so I'm happy that that it was there, because again, they could have very easily forgot about it and not had him have it. And so I was happy that he did, because he's going to have that for the rest of his life.
Yeah, they keep showing Lucas's tattoo too, so they're good with that also.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they forget some things, but I was happy in this scene that we saw it, because there's obviously later in the season where he's in the bath and he has it. So, but it's obviously they talk about it, so that's why he has it. But here, it wasn't forgotten.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think. Like, I do hope when we see Nathan shirtless, even in the later seasons, I still hope we see it, because it doesn't go away that fast. Scars are there for years to come.
Right. Yeah. So highs and lows.
My high was, I had a couple highs. I liked that Haley encouraged Brooke to do her fashion. Even though it is a little weird that she did it all in one night or day.
Yeah.
She just made all those up in one night. That was a little weird, but I like that she did it. And she's pushing herself, so I like that part. And also the other high was the comedy from this episode of Chris and Nathan.
Yep.
Like, all their scenes are just always so funny. And especially this episode. I knew it was coming up, and I was happy about it, and I'm happy we got to see it.
Yeah, my high.
And then the low. The low was Dan pushing Karen to kind of want to quit and give up.
Right.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, my highs are the same. And then the low was I mean, yeah, it wasn't good that he was trying to make Karen drop out of the race. But I don't know, I just don't like how Dan was trying to, use supposedly Keith to hurt her, like threaten to hurt him if she doesn't drop out. I don't know. I mean, that was the worst thing here because everything with Chris and Nathan was better at the end.
Yeah, they resolved the issue.
Yeah, but this, as we know, is going to be kind of, a quarter of the season yet. So, and then rating.
I'd rate this a 7.5. I mean, it was good, but I know that the other episodes previously, I feel, have been a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Plus since the episode, some things don't make sense.
Right.
I mean, and there wasn't too much drama.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'll give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I'd say an 8 just because Nathan and Chris were really entertaining in this.
And then my best is going to be Lucas.
Okay.
Because I liked that he was there for his mom.
Mm-hmm.
He was there for Deb, saving her ass. And he got the girls out of jail. And he actually got Brooke out.
Mm-hmm.
Because he really didn't have to do that.
Right.
So I liked him in this episode. He just was protecting everyone, and he forgave Brooke in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Which is all people want, right?
Yeah.
And the worst, I know Dan was bad, but Chris was really bad. Like, I know he made up for it in the end with selling his guitar, but he should never have lost the money in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing should not have happened with the poker because he should have used his own poker money, not Nathan's.
Mm-hmm.
So that should not have even happened. So he was wrong from the start. And then getting Nathan to go along with it, and Nathan was blindsided.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for all that because they could have gotten some serious trouble. And it could not have, probably shouldn't have ended nicely, in like reality. So for the show purpose, it was good, but Chris was just bad. I mean, the fact that he was, he went through all that and then he walked miles and didn't even say he had the car keys. I mean, this is stuff he was pulling. It was like, really?
Right.
So I liked him in the episode, but I just think for everything he was doing was bad. And it was affecting Nathan and Haley.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like Nathan said, she put her heart into that. And if Chris didn't get that money back, he would definitely not have gotten her CD or her master.
Right.
So all that hard work she did would have been for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like that.
Right. Yeah, my best was Haley, just for helping Brooke with and encouraging her to go with her fashion line after she was heartbroken about Lucas. And then I gotta say the worst is Dan, just because he was trying to make Karen drop out by using someone that means a lot to her besides for Lucas. And just because I know what's going to come from this as well, just makes him the worst in this, I mean, the whole series, but this season too, especially. So, yeah.
All right. And then what's the next episode?
Episode 10, Brave New World.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.